Today, we are digging into a huge, and I mean huge part of the American drug market that most people have never even heard of. It's like this giant tidal wave of money that shapes how hospitals and drug companies operate, but it almost never makes the news. So let me just start with a question for you. What do you think is one of the biggest, fastest growing, and honestly most confusing and hidden parts of the entire US drug system? The answer is probably not what you think. The answer is a program that in 2024 alone hit, get this, $81.4 billion. It's called the 340B Drug Pricing Program. And we're going to break down how it got so massive, and more importantly, why its days of just completely out-of-control growth might be coming to an end. All right, let's get into it. First up, we're going to tackle that enormous $81 billion number and the story behind what one industry analyst just calls skyrocketing growth. You know, this quote from drug channels just nails it. The reaction is basically, whoa. It's not just normal growth. It's the kind of growth that makes you rethink what words like skyrocketing even mean. This is something else entirely. And here's where you can really see it. Just look at the jump in a single year. We're talking about a $15 billion increase. That's a 23% leap from 2023 to 2024. I mean, to put that in perspective, the whole program is now more than 50% bigger than what all of Medicare spends on prescription drugs. You know, the program that covers healthcare for millions of low-income Americans? It's just wild.
So, you've seen the crazy numbers, but what in the world is this program? Who's it for, and how does it even work?
So at its heart, the 340B program is pretty simple. It's a federal rule that says drug companies have to sell their drugs to certain hospitals and clinics at a massive discount. And when I say massive, I mean sometimes it's literally 100% off the list price.
And this chart tells you everything you need to know about who the main players are here. You've got community health clinics and other smaller groups, sure, but hospitals, they are the dominant force, buying up a whopping 87% of all these discounted drugs.
Okay, now this is the crucial part. When a hospital buys a drug for cheap using the 340B price, but then gets paid back by an insurance company at a much higher price, it creates this huge profit margin. In 2024 alone, that gap created a pool of over $66 billion. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Nobody really knows where all that money goes. It's incredibly opaque. Now let's zoom out and see how we even got here. This didn't happen overnight. The program's growth over the last decade has been, well, to use the source's term, pretty gnarly. Just look at this trajectory. Go back to 2015, and the program's sitting at around $12 billion. Then it doubles by 2018, nearly doubles again by 2021, and then just completely explodes to over $81 billion by 2024. It didn't just grow, it accelerated into this absolute monster in the drug market. And this slide really puts that growth into perspective. Between 2015 and 2024, the 340B program grew at an average clip of 23.5% every single year. The rest of the US drug market, just 5.1%. So yeah, 340B has been expanding more than 4 times faster than the market it exists in. It's just not normal. So the easy explanation would be, oh, well, drug prices are just going up. But the data tells a totally different story. Nope. A peer-reviewed study found that about 80% of this growth came from just more and more drugs being bought through the program. And the Congressional Budget Office backs that up. They concluded this growth is being driven by hospitals making strategic choices to get the most out of these discounts. So for years, this wave has just been building and building, with almost no one watching. But now, it looks like there's some new lifeguards on the beach, and they're about to start blowing the whistle. And who are these agents of change? Well, they're two very powerful forces: the Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA, and the federal agency CMS, which runs Medicare and Medicaid. And the year you need to circle on your calendar is 2026. That's when we're expecting to see the first real serious changes to this program. So what are they actually doing? Well, it boils down to 3 big things. First, they're stopping what's called double dipping, so drug makers don't get penalized twice on the same drug. Second, they're going to start surveying hospitals to find out what they really pay for these drugs, which could lead to lower payments down the line. And third, they're creating a database to finally shine a light on this super murky program. You know, this is a huge deal. The agency that's been watching over this program for years is basically getting pushed aside. So what does it mean to have a new sheriff in town for this $80 billion beast? This table really says it all. We are moving from the old reality, where oversight was pretty limited and some would say too cozy with the hospital industry, to a new reality of direct, data-driven regulation by CMS. We're going from a black box to a system with forced transparency. And we're going from skyrocketing growth to a much, much slower pace.
And that really brings us to the final question. For years, the 340B program has been this monster wave, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But now, with new rules, new regulators, and a whole new focus on transparency, you have to wonder, is this the moment that wave finally crashes on the shore?